Would you say you're a good friend? Take time to really think about this and answer yourself. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those who are new to this channel, I'm Tinatinda Charmaine, and those who are back, thank you for coming back. And today I want to talk about friendship. I've been so hesitant to talk about friendship because I also have my own friends and they watch my videos. So if I'm angry at someone or we're not in good books with someone, they'll think that anything that I'm gonna say is about them. But right now I'd like to believe that I'm in good books with all my friends. So it's the right time for me to talk about this without anyone thinking that I'm trying to send a message using social media. So friendship is a very sensitive topic, but I believe it is the most important relationship that we have in our lives. I say this because growing up, we have certain communities that we grow in, that is church, school, family gatherings, and all that. And when we grow up, we tend to not go to these things anymore because we are not obligated to. For example, when you're done with school, you then go to work. And let's be honest, not all of us are friends with people from work. If you do have friends from work, it's probably one person, but you don't trust them enough to tell them everything that is going on in your life because, again, work feels more like a competitive space. So you can't trust someone that you just met to then tell them your whole life story or tell them the problems that you're facing at home, because definitely they will use it against you at some point. So having friends then is very important because these are people that you grew up with, people you know you've chosen to be a part of your life. But if you don't have these people, you then tend to live a lonely life. And as much as you might have that career, relationship, you have other activities going on. I want to talk about certain things that I learned from watching Unjaded by Jade's video on adult friendships and Trevor Noah's video that I watched today in the morning. I do not have a particular order of what I'm going to talk about in this video, so please bear with me. To begin with, I believe that there's a difference between female friendships and male friendships. I say this because for women, they support each other. I saw a comedian talk about how female friendships are the best because they don't judge each other, and he was talking about how if someone comes and they tell their friends that they're dating a thief, the other one will say, well, at least he has a passion.
Dawn, women support each other. Men don't support each other. That's why they're depressed. I'm dating this guy, and he robs banks. And then her friend will be like, at least he has a passion.
Whereas if a guy then goes to his friends and then tells them that they broke up, they'll probably just ignore it and say, oh, so when are we going for drinks? Yet as men, as humans, we genuinely want people to lean on. We want people who will listen to us. We want people to also share their vulnerabilities with us so that we all feel important and we help each other in this thing called life. Because of this, men tend to be lonely, tend to fixate on other things that are not healthy. I'm going to use the analogy I just got from watching Trevor Noah's video where he talked about how there was an experiment done on addiction, and they put a rat in a cage and then put a laced beverage, like it was laced with drugs or something. Later on, this rat then discovered this beverage, started enjoying this beverage till it got addicted and then eventually died. They then came another scientist called Bruce Alexander. He then came and decided to challenge the experiment that had been done, and he told them that it was flawed. Why? Because this rat had no community, it had no friends, and just like us, rats are social creatures. We want to be around community for us to then focus on growth instead of ruining our lives using drugs or other bad activities. A new rat was put in a cage with other rats, and they had social activities, they had things to play with, food and all those things. And then there were two bowls with, one was laced with the drug and the other one was clean water. They all discovered this, but they chose to go for the clean water and maintained their relationships. And as a result, no one, is it correct to say no one when it's a rat? No rats then got addicted. Why? Because it had other things going on. It had friends, it had community, it had activities to do. It wasn't alone. So I also think this analogy is the same for human beings. There's certain things that we do because we do not have community. When you have an idle mind, you think about the worst things. Some people think about offing themselves. Some people think about getting high. Some people think about getting drunk and then just sleeping it off. Or you get addicted to social media. You're just scrolling and it gives you a false sense of community. You think the people you're talking to in the comments are your friends. The people that you've never met are your friends. When in actual fact, these people don't know you and they genuinely don't care for you. They're just commenting because you agree on a certain thing that you've just watched. Relationships are important for other relationships. What I mean by this is when you then get in a relationship, a romantic relationship, if you don't have friends, you tend to put all this pressure on one person. You expect them to call you every day. You expect them to text you. You expect them to chill with you. You expect them to be your business partner. You expect them to be your community. You expect them to be there when you're crying, when you're sad, when you're happy. Everything is going on and you want all of this from this particular person. I genuinely believe that if you have friends, you have a community, you then put less pressure on your romantic relationships. They tend to work out more because you have other people to fall back on. Growing up, we have different communities that we associate with, but as you grow older, you're only committed to one thing, and that is your relationship. Of course, you have your job, but this is mandatory, so it's not an option. It's not something that you decide to say, okay, today I'm not going. You show up, and most of us don't like our jobs, or at least don't like going to work. If we had it any other way and we could make money, we probably wouldn't go. So putting pressure on one person to be everything else doesn't make sense and is not beneficial to you, because also when you lose that person, where are you gonna turn to? Not to say that friends are only for you to cry to, but I believe that having friends will save us from a lot of things. Most of us are scared to tell our friends we love them, especially men. That it's coming off a jab at men for not having good relationships, but I've seen how if guys hug, it's something that everyone is gonna like shun upon, and you're like, you guys hugged, are you guys not gay, and all that stuff. And yet when women do it, it's not a problem. Before I hang up, I tell my friends I love them, and it's something that's so casual and accepted. And yet I think friends men also yearn for this type of love. They just want someone to hug them when they're crying. I asked this guy that I was dating when the last time he cried was, and he said 7 years ago. Do you know how many times I cry a month, a week even? And it's not on some I'm a baby type of stuff, but then if something hurts me, best believe I'm gonna cry about it, but then I'll move on, or I'll call my friend and cry about it. I have a friend of mine who does it, who really hates it that I cry, and this is a guy. So I think it's because they think it's a sign of weakness, crying. For me, it's not a sign of weakness, but rather me letting out things that I cannot tolerate, and then once I'm done with it, I move on to the next thing and I'm happier. So I think men should allow each other to be vulnerable. In our friendships, we should also allow each other to be vulnerable. My last point, I don't know how many points these were. You need to understand that friendships have different levels of friendship. Jade used a concentric circle as an example of what stages of friendships they are. So in the middle, there's you, and then in the next concentric circle is your 3 closest friends. These are your closest friends. You can have 1 or 2 or 3, and these are people that if anyone asks them on that particular day how Tino is doing, they'll definitely know how you're doing. You talk to them on a daily. They know what's going on. They know where you're traveling to. They know where you are. You probably share locations like I do with my friends. I think I have like 7 or 9 locations, and I always know where they are. And if I see someone not being in the place that they're supposed to be, I'm like, hi, are you sure you're okay? Were you kidnapped or you're traveling? And they'll be like, oh no, it's me, but I'm currently here, blah 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 blah. I always know where my friends are, and those are in the inner circle. And then it goes on, and you also need to understand that they are acquaintances. Not everyone is your friend, because we tend to have friends based on a certain circumstance. So if you do a 3-month course and you meet someone you vibe with, you're suddenly calling them your friend. But after this 3-month course, are you still gonna have things in common? Whilst I'm talking about these different friendships in different concentric circles, friendship is something that requires for us to maintain so that it doesn't die. A lot of people say, I only talk to my friend once in 3 months and we just tell each other everything, yada, 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 and it's okay. I don't think this is okay. Those people who are my friends know that I emphasize on the importance of communication as friends. We need to treat our friendships as we do our relationships, our romantic relationships. You need to be able to keep updated so that it's not a shock when someone then does something and you take it as, oh, you don't like me enough to tell me what's going on in your life, or I don't know, like someone struggles because they can't talk to you since we only talk once a month. I have so much to say on this because I also want to talk about how as people we start saying, I'm sorry, I'm a bad texter, or I really don't like calls, yada yada. But then when it's a romantic relationships, you're suddenly good at texting, you're good at calling any time of the day. Can't we give the same grace to our friends? Why can't we do the same for our friendships? I personally believe in doing so. And the other thing that I'm now just kind of rushing through this because this is now a long video and I really don't like long videos. But I want to talk about how if you feel like your friend is doing something that you don't like, sit them down, talk to them that I don't appreciate how you did this and that. And if I'm in the wrong, I also need to apologize and take accountability for my part in whatever it is that is making us uncomfortable. Notice that people who have friends definitely thrive more in life in general. There are less depressed people who have friends. I'm one to speak. But anyway, someone just sent me a video of, it was a TikTok of how they have this one friend who just deactivates their accounts when they suddenly feel like they can't do it anymore. And for some reason, I'm that friend because this particular person sent me, we were talking on Instagram, then I think they wanted to respond and I already just deactivated my account. So they had to find me on another platform, which I haven't yet deactivated. I'm yet to, but these are personal reasons. And I made sure to communicate that I'm actually really happy and I don't want to be on social media because it's giving me a false sense of happiness, just I don't know, watching things that I have no business watching. So now that they understand that, they know that I'm not depressed. And if ever I am depressed and want to talk to them, I will go to them and talk to them. All this to say that friendships are very important. And I believe that we should nurture them the way we nurture romantic relationships. I don't think there are any other relationships that we nurture more than romantic relationships. And I really hate that we make romantic relationships so important that we neglect any other relationship we have. We neglect relationships that we have with our cousins, with our sisters, with our siblings, with our parents even. Maybe it's because of the season that I've been in. I don't want to say that I'm in, but it's because I realized that putting so much importance on romantic relationships makes you lose sight of everything else that is important in your life. Nothing wrong with being in a relationship, but I don't think you should make it your whole reason for leaving. There are other things that are important, and that is friendship to me. You should schedule calls, schedule meetups. Like my friends and I have a meetup once a month, and because there's like many of us, not many, but then we decided to meet up for someone's birthday in their birth month. You plan something, we show up, we meet up, we catch up, and then we go about our lives. That way we all have busy schedules, but then we're gonna try our best to be there in each other's lives. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on my next one.